My guest today. I'm so excited about this. She's an old friend. We've worked together a lot. Her credits include Bleach, Chobits. She was Yoko and Gurren Lagann. Erased, Asterisk War. She's in those things. SAO, Sword Art Online, Lego Friends, Sailor Moon. Let's watch a little video about her work.
The thing that I've been searching for is my memory.
I just did something rather rude to you. On top of that, I wasted some perfectly good food. Everyone is precious to someone. Don't rip people apart who love each other.
If you even touch him, I swear you'll be. Are you human or monster? Which are you? I'm not a human, but I'm not a monster either. The truth is, I'm just a parasite. This person just dropped off the radar.
But the interpolation from the last known coordinates puts them
right here on this ship. All processing powers engaged. This interface will be repaired shortly after. Repair in progress. Oh.
What's wrong?
I forgot to recreate the glasses. I wish to be with you, even if it means throwing everything away. So therefore, I ask you, please accept me, vows and all, and make me your wife, Kurosama. From the look in his eyes. You've become very strong. Haven't you, Ichigo? Are you? Chi is in love with Hideki. Is Hideki in love with Chi? Jonathan Joestar is dying. But we are together. I want to stay like this until the ship explodes and everything burns to ash. Until everything is gone. What about me? Am I just supposed to accept that I'm abnormal somehow? If I do that, I'm lost. If I do that, I'm totally alone. And that scares me. So I'll just be normal. Then we're not so very different after all.
We are not different?
Standing by. You'd have to go on living to do that, right? Just repeat the words I'm about to say, alright? Listen, power, makeup! I am pretending. I want people to like me. I want to have friends. So I asked myself, what can a loser like me do to have that? And you know what? I tried liking everyone and it worked. To you, it's just a game. That's all it is to you, is that it? A game? Well, just because you feel that way doesn't mean I do. Woo!
Michelle Ruff, everyone. Wow, welcome. It's so funny. It's such a long, you have so much body of work. We need her mic up, please.
Hello.
There we go. I could listen to you talk. I could listen to you talk all day long.
I know, you always say that to me. I love that. That's why I love working with Tony. I'll do a line, he's like, God, I love your voice.
So, let's just get to some basics first.
Okay.
Where do you come from? Where were you born? Where'd you go to school? And stuff like that.
I was born in Detroit,
Wow.
Michigan, Motor City Madhouse. Whoa! So I grew up in Michigan. I moved from Detroit to Grand Blanc. I went to Grand Blanc High School.
Grand Blanc?
Grand Blanc.
What an interesting name.
Big white. And then I went to Michigan State. I went to U of M Flint for a little while, and then I transferred to Michigan State.
Lansing?
Yeah. Got my degree from there, East Lansing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did a con there about a year ago, that's why I was asking.
Then I went from there to Chicago, did improv, Second City Improv Olympic Players Workshop.
Second City?
Second City.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
So she's funny too.
Sometimes. And then from there I went to LA. Moved to LA.
So where on this journey did you get the idea that you needed to be an actress?
Oh my God.
Is there a moment, is there a seminal moment you went, this is what I'm doing?
Oh my God. You know, you said that to me earlier and I was thinking, oh my God, what's my moment? What's my moment? Well, I can't remember my moment. I went up for an audition. I used to work at a talent agency, actually.
Really?
In East Lansing. I was starting to be a producer and a director, doing behind-the-scenes stuff. And so I was booking talent at a talent agency. And my boss told me to go out for an audition for a radio commercial. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. He's like, just go, you're going to be really good at it. And I was like, I don't want to go. So I went. Well, like a week later, I hear my audition on the radio. They just took my audition and they just played. I was in the car with my roommate. And she's like, isn't that you? And I'm like, I think it is. But that's weird. I said, oh my God, those people took my audition and put it on the radio. So I had to, you know, have my boss call and I got paid and all that stuff. But that was kind of my first foray into it.
What about your first, like, national gig, like animation, video game, that sort of thing?
Well, my very first anime happens to be with Bang Zoom! It's funny, Eric and I were talking about this like 2 months ago, that we've kind of grown up together, because this is when they still had their, can I tell them this? Okay. They were, he and his wife had their business and they were working out of their home. So I went to their home and they were like being very professional. They didn't want people to think, you know, oh my God, we're doing stuff out of our home. And they would have like, you would go out to different studios and record the project that you auditioned for. So I auditioned, it was my first audition for anime, and I ended up booking it. And apparently, that particular project, Ninja Cadets, was Bang Zoom's first project as well. So our very first projects we did together, and we've just grown up together in the anime world. It's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It is kind of one big dysfunctional family.
I know, right?
So when you jumped into the booth for the first time, because obviously you'd already been acting up to that point.
Yes.
But what was that experience like? Did it freak you out?
It did.
I know mine freaked me out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's different to have a piece of copy on paper that you're reading. The thing with the anime that I found, like in those first few jobs, is you have to really relax. Like if you're not relaxed and in the moment with what you're doing, it's not going to work because there's so much going on. Not only do you have to be a good actor, you have to have sync skills. Like you have to be able to take whatever's written on that page and sync it into the moving mouth. So it's good to have time. It's like I find musicians have good timing, or singers, you know, it's
yeah, I come from musicals, so those, you're a musician. Yeah, thank you. If you're musically oriented, the rhythm issue.
Yeah, you have that rhythm. It's easier to catch it.
Okay. So, is in your mind, is it more important in any kind of voice acting, you know, anime specifically, but any kind, is the vocal thing more important to you, what you sound like, or is it the character and what you're dealing with for you?
For me, I mean, it's always the character. You know, with anime, it does have, you know, there's a large portion of it that has to sound like the Japanese character, you know, for a lot of the shows. But, you know, it's the physicality of the character and how you bring that character to life, I think, for me, that makes the character, you know. Because it's still, you know, it's like, yeah, I have a wide range. I think I have a pretty wide range, but it's still my voice. You know, it's just the attitude that you're...
So you really don't have to be able to do hint, funny voices?
No.
You need to be able to...
You need to be an actor. You have to be able to be an actor. First and foremost,
Because that's how you make people cry.
Exactly. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, which can be hard.
It is difficult for some.
Yeah. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've cried in the booth. And I'm not embarrassed anymore.
Yeah.
Like I used to get embarrassed, but now I'm like...
Yeah, it's when you cry when you're supposed to be laughing, that's a problem. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about a couple of roles, some of the roles that you played, because I have to touch on this because, you know, it's our show, but you are my Fujiko, and have always been. And so let's talk about Lupin the Third.
Okay.
Lupin. Lupin.
Thanks, Fuji Cakes. All right. So that role is kind of interesting because it's kind of had a couple of incarnations. You played it in a couple of different incarnations. So what got you? What attached you to the role personally?
Well, I remember when I auditioned for that. He was involved in that actually from Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my first projects with her.
It's when she was the Jenny on,
Yeah. But I remember hearing the Japanese, and I don't know, for some reason I just kept thinking Marilyn Monroe. And not that Fujiko sounds like Marilyn Monroe at all, but one of the things that I like to do with characters, this is a secret, so don't tell anyone, is you can think of another character, like a celebrity or somebody that you like or that sits in your head, or, you know, and you can take a piece of that character and bring it to the character that you're playing. So that was kind of the connection for me with Fujiko.
So has it changed much over, I mean, you played it in like 3 or 4 different incarnations, so.
Well, the woman called Fujiko Mine was a little bit different, but the blue coat that we did, she was back to her normal self.
Okay. Cool. So now, currently, you're doing a couple shows.
Yes, I am.
You raced.
Yes.
So what do you
love this show.
What do you play?
Young Satoru.
Okay, and without giving away the story, because it's still being made, what kind of character is it?
It's, oh my God, it's so interesting. Well, I play a young boy. He's shy, kind of a nerd, geeky. He fancies himself a loser, which I don't think he is, but he, you know, in the story he kind of is. Awkward, you know, awkward. How much can I say?
Well, that's it, because we don't want to let anything out and they'll kill us.
I don't want to give it away.
So the other new show you're working on is Asterisk War.
Yes.
Yes. So what kind of character are you playing there?
Asterisk War, I think I played the sister to, I can't remember.
Your sister, okay. So be watching for that.
Asterisk War, yeah.
Because that's premiering today.
And what about,
Is it already
God Eater?
Pardon?
God Eater.
Yeah, we can finally talk about that, by the way. We were given permission.
Yeah.
We're working on the God Eater anime. I'm directing it.
Reprising Sakuya.
We couldn't talk about it up until like last night.
Yeah.
So it's just got clear. So
yeah.
You're playing?
Sakuya.
Yeah, so she's reprising from the game.
Yeah.
So what's the difference for you between doing an anime and a game, since you're doing both of them?
Oh, well, they're very different actually. A video game moves much faster than an anime does. Anime, you're telling a story, and a video game, you may be telling a story, but you know, it just moves at a much faster pace.
Do you have time for depth more, or is it?
No, not really. So, I mean, you can, but it's a
very short line.
They're very short line, unless the video game is being done in a very theatrical way.
Like Danganronpa, which you were also in.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Okay.
But I think like Resident Evil, the Resident Evil thing, we spent a little bit more time on performance with that stuff. You know?
So the theme here so far has been that performing and acting is really much more important because you are performing. So you got a bunch of people out here who wants to be a voice actor?
Wow.
So what do you have to tell them about getting into the business? Advice. A couple of things they should think about doing if they wanted to do this for
if you wanted to do voice acting for a living. Well, there's a few things that I would say to you. The first is that there's no one straight road to your goal. There's a lot of different avenues that you can take and a lot of different ways to get there, but there are a few key elements that I think everyone has to have, and one of them is acting skills. I think you have to be an actor first and foremost, because you're not coming from here up, you know, you're acting, so it's your whole body, it's your whole beingness. And especially now for anything, like across the board, even commercials, the producers want to hear you being vulnerable in a scene. It's not just about your voice, you know, unless you're the late great Don LaFontaine who did, you know, promo stuff.
But even he's acting in that
yeah.
In the world. There's actually a lot of acting
It's
going on.
a character that he's doing, because I don't think he walks around talking like that all the time.
Didn't know him, but it would be fun if he did. Do what? In the world. That guy? Yeah. There's only one man that was allowed to say that, get paid, and he's gone now.
Right. But I also think that improv skills are really important, because I would say, like, when I'm in the booth, you have to be really fast on your feet and be able to take direction and think quickly and make decisions quickly about a line or about your character, how your character would say something, you know. I mean, we do have to move at a pace with anime, so you have to complete, you know, so many lines within an hour. So, you know, having the improv skills, I think, is really important too, because it keeps you fast on your feet.
So if you want to do this, you take acting classes, you take improv, and eventually you take my workshop. No, any workshop. There's lots of them out there. There's lots of them out there, and I encourage you to look them up and call friends and get references and stuff, because it's best if you take from more than one teacher.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and I always say, I feel like, and even for myself when I do brush-up classes, because I still take classes, I do animation, advanced stuff, you know, you got to keep it fresh. I always go to the places where people are working. You know, Tony's involved with the business. He's a director. He knows what it's about. So for me, I go to that place too. You know, I go to the directors, I go to the casting directors, I go to the studios where they're actually doing production, because those are the people that are current and they're in the business and they know what they're talking about.
So, great advice.
Yeah.